Hello students, welcome to the EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Harpreet Singh from the Department of Business Management, Guru Nanak Dev University's regional campus at Gurdaspur. Today we are going to talk on the module Evolution of Organizational Behavior, Part 1, under the paper Organizational Behavior. After completing this module, students should be able to discuss the evolution of OB. They should be able to discuss the scientific theory of management and its contribution in organizational behavior, and to illustrate administrative theory of management. History of any discipline plays a vital role to tell us about when and how a particular field of study started, from where initially it originated and how it got a place in the particular discipline. In this module, we will discuss historical evolution of organizational behavior as a direct field of study and contribution of various management gurus in the field of organizational behavior. There were various studies conducted to develop ideas and theories so that organizations can be managed in better ways by using the concepts of organizational behavior. Some of the famous gurus are Adam Smith, F.W. Taylor, Chester Bernard, Henry Fayol, Frederick Herzberg, Abraham Maslow, Elton Mayo, and many more. The concern for welfare exists since ages. The concern for employee welfare has also been documented in Kautilya's Arthashastra. Arthashastra stated that sound base for systematic management of human resources exists since 4th century BC. Then after government started taking active interest in setting up systematic procedures for regulating employer relationships. Experts of human behavior have tried to chronicle the growth of the subject from the beginning of 19th century. It was observed that industrial revolution took place in early stages of 19th century, and it resulted in the complete transformation of industrial environment. History of organization can be analyzed through the following approaches. Classical approach, behavioral approach. Classical approach will be discussed in this module, and behavioral approach will be discussed in the next module. Classical approach covered the period from 1900 to 1930 approximately, when the first general theory of management began. The major contributors were Frederick Taylor, Henry Fayol, Max Weber, Mary Parker Follett, and Chester Bernard. Classical approach to management further includes scientific management theory, administrative theory, and bureaucratic model of organization. Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution started the phenomena of materialism, discipline, monotony, boredom, job displacement, impersonality, work independence, and many other such phenomena. Industry started manufacturing more goods and services, which eventually enabled the workers to draw more wages. And that led to decreased hours of work and increased job satisfaction. In this era, Robert Owen, a young Welsh factory owner, firstly emphasized on human needs of employees. He was completely against the employment of children as labor. The workers were trained about cleanliness, executing self-control, and improving their working conditions. Due to his working style, he was entitled as the father of personal management. This was not actually organizational behavior, but a perfect start in that direction. Robert Owen was a Welsh entrepreneur who bought his first factory in 1789 at the age of 18. He takes a very important place in the history of OB because he was one of the first industrialists to recognize how that growing factory system was demeaning to workers. Repulsed by the harsh practices he saw in factories, such as the employment of young children, many under the age of 10, and with 13 hours of work days and miserable working conditions, Owen became a reformer. He chided factory owners for treating their equipment better than their employees. He criticized them for buying the best machines but then employing the cheapest labor to run them. Owen argued that money spent on improving labor was one of the best investments that business executives could make. He claimed that showing concern for employees both was profitable for management and would relieve human misery. For his time, Owen was an idealist. What he proposed was an utopian concept at the workplace that would reduce the sufferings of the working class. He was more than 100 years ahead of his time when he argued in 1852 for regulated hours of work for all, child labor laws, public education, company furnished meals at work, and business involvement in community projects. The history which has become a past now shows how each management visit contributed towards the welfare of employees, their betterment of their working conditions, and hence eventually increasing the productivity. In 1835, Andrew Urey, in his book The Philosophy of Manufacturers, considered human factor as one of the important factors of production, besides other commercial as well as mechanical factors. Due to his strong belief in human factor, he provided medical treatment and sickness payments to the employees of the organization. In India, J.N. Tata was the first person to express his interest in the welfare of his employees. Scientific management. Frederick W. Taylor gave this approach. He is also referred to as father of scientific management because he gave a concrete shape to the generalizations propounded by other management scholars. He was the one who generated the interest in the welfare of workers in the 1900s. Taylor began his career as a mechanist and progressed as a chief engineer. In light of the problems faced by the workers, such as widespread inefficiency, wastage of material, faulty equipments, restricted output, inadequate training of the workers, and little cooperation between management and workers, he suggested a few practices for managing the things in a better way. Taylor advocated the selection of right people for the right jobs, placing them to the jobs to which they suited better, providing them adequate training and appropriate remuneration. Though Taylor's scientific management approach aimed at operational efficiency, he also attempted to point out the importance of human resources. Taylor published a book, Principles of Scientific Management, in 1911. His philosophy of scientific management can be expressed in terms of following principles. Science, not a rule of thumb. According to this principle, scientific rules should be used for solving the routine problems and taking decisions. The rule of thumb approach says that hit or miss approach should be replaced with the rule of thumb. Problem should be studied thoroughly, and for that, data should be collected and analyzed. Therefore, intuitions should be replaced with facts. Harmony. This principle states that workers and departments of the organizations are subunits which work together to accomplish common goals. Therefore, there should be complete harmony in the functioning of these subunits. Cooperation and not individualism. According to this principle, cooperation should be promoted and not individualism. Contributions of all the individuals in achievement of organizational goals should be equally acknowledged. Maximum output. Production of the goods should be done in accordance with the maximum capacity of the production unit. The reason behind this is that when the production will increase, overall cost will decrease. Development of each man to his greatest efficiency. This principle rightly says that efficiency of the individuals should be enhanced for the prosperity of the workers and the organizations that they are working in. Organizations should provide adequate training to the workers in order to develop their capacities and potentialities to the maximum level. Techniques of scientific management. Taylor developed many techniques of scientific management on the basis of his experiences at shop floor. These are scientific study and planning of the work. Taylor suggested that assignment of work to the workers should be studied and analyzed to plan and determine standard of work for each worker. He suggested several studies for this purpose like time study, motion study, fatigue study, and work study. This would enable the worker to have an idea of what is to be done and how efficiently. Scientific selection, placement, and training. Taylor was of the view that selection of workers should be based on the scientific methods instead of judgment and intuition of the top management. It includes selecting a candidate by matching their skills with the requirements of the job. Scientific training should be given to the employees in order to develop their potential abilities. Standardization. Taylor suggested that there should be standardization of raw material, tools, and equipments and working conditions provided to the workers. It is because any difference in the quality of raw material and tools and equipments may directly affect the efficiency level of the workers. In the same way, productivity will also vary if there is any difference in the working conditions provided to the employees, different employees doing the same work. Division of responsibility between management and workers. Taylor was of the view that the two aspects of planning, that is, thinking and doing, should be separated. Planning should be solely the responsibility of the managers. They should concentrate only on developing work standards, incentive schemes for workers, maintaining discipline, and assigning the work. On the other hand, the role of the workers should be confined to the implementation of the plans. Functional foremanship. The concept of functional foremanship stated that instead of having one foreman as in charge for the whole production process, all activities at lowest level of departments should be divided into two groups: planning forum and workshop. Each group should have four supervisors. Mental revolution. Taylor suggested that in order to get desired results of scientific management, complete mental revolution should be brought in all workers as well as managers. Workers should change their attitude, outlook, and behavior towards their work, fellow workers, and management. Managers should also change their attitude and outlook towards workers and their problems. Wage incentive. Taylor suggested that incentives should be directly linked with the productivity. The worker producing more should get higher wages. For this purpose, a differential piece rate plan was introduced by Taylor. This plan favored different wage rate for difference in the levels of efficiency of workers. Administrative theory. This theory is based on the works of Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol was a French mining engineer who became chief administrator in a large French mining and metallurgical company. On the basis of his rich administrative experience, he gave some practical guidelines for successful managers. Fayol suggested that every manager has to perform five functions of management with planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. In addition to this, he also gave 14 principles of general management. These are discussed as follows. First, division of labor. Specialization increases output by making employees more efficient. Second, authority. Authority gives management the right to order. Authority goes with responsibility. Third, discipline. Employees must obey and respect the rules. Good discipline is the result of effective leadership. Fourth, unity of command. Every employee should receive communication from only one person. Fifth, unity of direction. Each group of organizational activities that have the same objective should be handled by one manager using one plan. Remuneration. Remuneration paid to the workers should be fair both to the employees as well as the employers. Seventh, subordination of individual interest to common cause. The interest of any one employee or group should not take precedence over the common interest of the organization as a whole. Eighth, centralization. The optimum degree of centralization should be maintained in the organization. Ninth, scalar chain. The scalar chain measures the line of authority from top management to the lowest ranks. Communication should follow this chain. 10th, order. Material and people should be in the right place at the right time. 11th, equity. Workers should be paid for the equal amount of work done. 12th, stability. High employee turnover is inefficiency. Management should provide personal planning and ensure replacements. 13. Initiative. Employees should be allowed to be innovative and carry out the plans with high levels of efforts. 14th. Esprit de corps. Promoting team spirit will build harmony and unity within the organization. In addition to the 14 principles, Fayol also suggested 5 basic elements or functions of management. These elements are explained below. The first one is planning. This element of management precisely deals with strategy formulation and determination of objectives. Action planning, dividing the plan into necessary phases, and deciding about the technology to implement the plan is the primary focus of planning. It has been very rightly said that organizations which do not perform well, they don't plan to fail, they simply fail to plan. Next one is organizing. Managers should organize and allocate the necessary resources to the employees in order to execute the plans. Such resources include raw materials, tools and equipments, capital, and also human resources. Next one is command. Managers should also delegate the authority to their lower level staff and empower them to make decisions affecting their specific areas of responsibility. In coordination, coordination is said to be the essence of management. Managers must ensure high level coordination and integration between all the units and systems of an organization. And the last one is monitoring and controls. Managers must compare the performance of the employees with the standards set for them. That is, they must compare the actual performance with the desired performance of the employees. A manager should also take corrective measures to rectify if there is any deviation or a bottleneck, which is creating a difference between the standard and the actual performance of the employees. Fioll also recommended that in order to perform managerial functions effectively, a manager must possess physical qualities, mental ability, moral education, general education, experience, and special knowledge, etc. Fioll's principles and functions of management were appreciated widely. Therefore, he is also referred to as the father of modern management. Bureaucratic model of organization. Bureaucratic model was developed by a German social scientist Max Weber. According to Weber, bureaucratic form of organization is more efficient because of high degree of precision, efficiency, objectivity, and rationality. This form of organization is very popular in government organizations and military organizations. Besides that, every well-organized and well-managed organization implement some elements of bureaucracy. Characteristics of bureaucratic model as suggested by Weber are division of labor. This principle refers to the division of work and assignment of the same to the workers on the basis of their skills, aptitude, and abilities. Chain of command. A hierarchy of authority and responsibility is followed in the bureaucratic organizations. Such relationships are based on the positions and not on the persons. Rigidity in compliance with procedures and framework of rules. To regulate and control the working behavior of employees, a set of rules and procedures should be implemented on them, subject to strict compliance of the same. Impersonality. Bureaucratic organizations don't operate on the basis of emotions, feelings, and personal attachments. Technical competence. In such organizations, employees are recruited and promoted on the basis of their qualifications, technical competence, and merit. Criticism of bureaucratic organization given by Max Weber. Weber gave a lot of emphasis on rules and regulations, and because of this, there were unnecessary delays in decision making. The delay was due to completing the extra formalities and following the proper regulations of bureaucratic organizations. As organizations have to follow the proper hierarchy of authorities, such hierarchy may affect the coordination and also communication amongst all the levels from top level management to the lowest level. Bureaucratic organizations have to record each and everything, so they have to do a lot of paperwork. This process consumes most of the time, effort, as well as money. Bureaucratic management approach is considered as very complex and does not suit to all types of organizations. It is found to be useful only in some of the governmental organizations. Weber gave importance to the qualifications for promotion and ignored the dedication and loyalty of the employees. Weber did not also give any importance to informal groups in the organizations. Bureaucratic approach worked as a solution to the problem, but only in case of traditional administrative system. This type of system gives all the authorities and powers to the top management only. So students, let's now summarize what we have learned in this module. As we said, history of any discipline plays a vital role to tell us about when and how a particular field of study started, from where initially it originated, and how it got a place in the particular discipline. In this module, we discussed historical evolution of organizational behavior as a distinct field of study and contribution of various management gurus in the field of organizational behavior. To analyze the history of organization, there were different parts included. Classical approach and behavioral approach was discussed. Uh, in fact, the classical approach was discussed in this module. The behavioral approach will be discussed in the next module. Classical approach covered the period from 1900 to 1930, apparently when the first general theory of management began. The major contributors were Frederick Taylor, Henry Fayol, Max Weber, Mary Parker, and Chester Burnett. Classical approach to management further included scientific management theory, administrative theory, and bureaucratic model of organization. Industrial revolution started the phenomena of materialism, discipline, monotony, boredom, and many other such phenomena. Industry started manufacturing more and more goods and services for the public, which eventually enabled the workers to draw relatively more wages. And this further led to decrease in the working hours and increase in the job satisfaction of the workers. In this era, Robert Owen, the young Welch factory owner, firstly emphasized on human needs of employees. He was completely against the employment of kids, as child labor. The workers were trained about cleanliness, executing self-control, and improving their working conditions. Due to his working style, he was entitled as the father of personal management. F.W. Taylor gave the theory of the scientific management because he gave a concrete shape to the generalizations propounded by other management scholars. He was the one who generated the interest in the welfare of workers in the 1900s. Later, Taylor began his career as a mechanist and progressed as a chief engineer. In light of the problems faced by workers, such as widespread inefficiency, wastage of material, faulty equipments, restricted outputs, inadequate training of the workers, and little cooperation between management and workers, he suggested few practices for managing things in a better way. Taylor advocated the selection of right people for the right jobs, placing them to the jobs to which they suited best, providing them adequate training and appropriate remunerations. This theory was based on the works of Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol was a French mining engineer who became chief administrator in a large French mining and metallurgical company. On the basis of his rich administrative experiences, he gave some practical guidelines for successful managers. Fayol suggested that every manager had to perform 5 different functions of management: planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. In addition to this, he also proposed the 14 principles of general management. Bureaucratic model was developed by a German social scientist Max Weber. According to Weber, bureaucratic form of organization was more efficient form because of higher degree of precision, efficiency, objectivity, and rationality. This form of organization was very popular in government institutions and military. Besides that, very well organized and very well managed organizations implemented some elements of bureaucracy. Thank you very much.